Hello, Chef Lami here again. Welcome to Fruit and Bakes Academy. Today we are going to be making this super delicious and easy Nigerian puff puff. So we are going to be using a few ingredients starting from the flour, the sugar, your measuring scale has to be on ground, your yeast, your salt, baking powder. This is my secret ingredient. When the yeast is not active, baking powder takes over. The nutmeg, the milk is optional. It just makes my puff puff a bit more creamy, so I love to use it. And finally, the water. So the first thing you're going to be doing now is to add all dry ingredients together. So I added my sugar into the flour. And the next thing I'll be doing is to add the salt. I love to add the salt before the yeast because this it's not good to add the yeast and salt together. The salt affects the activity of the yeast, making the yeast less active if they come together. And then my baking powder. Anyway, baking powder is just a way to make the yeast more active. It's like my secret ingredients. It makes me have a fail-proof puff puff. My puff puff don't fail because even if the yeast is not active, there is baking powder in it. The nutmeg. I added the nutmeg, and finally I added in my yeast. You can see that I put the yeast in a different location from the salt, and then I mixed everything all together. So you should not be pouring your salt on top of your yeast or your yeast on top of your salt. The salt affects the activity of the yeast. So for the water, I'm supposed to be using 2 cups here because I'm making a double portion of the recipe. You can find the recipe in the description box below. So instead of adding the 2 cups of water at one time, make sure you work your puff puff and be sure of the consistency you want to achieve. The water content in each flour brand is different, so I don't like to use all my water at once. Make sure you mix rigorously and have a smooth batter. It is how smooth your batter comes that will depend on how beautiful your puff puff is going to look. Then let it rest for 30 minutes and this is how it's going to look. It is going to look this way. I just brought it back after it has rested for 30 minutes, and then I'm going to work it again and let it rest for another 30 minutes. This is because I'm making the double portion. So if you're just making 200 grams, you can let it rest for the first 30 minutes and then 10 minutes later. And now it's time to fry it. You can see how smooth my batter looks. I love to work it halfway and let it rest again. It's going to give me this smooth, really smooth batter. And then I start scooping it and pinching it out of my hands. This way is more comfortable for me, but you can work with what you're comfortable with anyways. So this is what I'm comfortable with, and I love to pinch it out of my hands, and it gives me these well-rounded balls. And you fry on medium heat. Make sure you are deep frying. You have a lot of at least oil, and you're frying on medium heat. So stir. I use a skewer to turn it around, and it's time to stir it. I'm using my spoon to stir it. And you can see this is the consistency I love when I'm frying my puff puff. A little bit brown and chewy. It's going to be so delicious. You can see how perfectly well-rounded and beautiful it looks. Did you notice that I placed the paper towel into a sieve before bringing out my puff puff so that it sucks up excess oil in the puff puff, so it makes it really dry of oil. That's the sense of the paper towel. We also call it serviette paper. If you are yet to subscribe, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channels. Give me all the ginger I need to make more videos for you guys. You all know I love you so much, and the puff puff is ready. Just look at how fresh and beautiful it looks. If you're yet to subscribe, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel, like and drop a comment, share. Thank you.